You know that anticlimax you feel after Christmas when it's all done, when you have to take the decorations down and box them back up again. It's going to feel like that tomorrow. Now Sixmas is over. The Six Nations has just finished with the final game between France and England in Lyon, and it was absolutely bonkers. And if you don't want to know the score, look away because, well, there it is. Just an insane match. Really entertaining end to the Six Nations. If I've just purely put my Englishman's hat on, a disappointing end to the match. But what's strange is if before last week I'd have been happy with what I just watched, but it will be seen as a missed opportunity for England, and they came very, very close. Loads to talk about on this video, and then of course lots of reflections to come on the Six Nations overall. I love Super Saturday. I will admit 3 games back to back to back is almost bordering on too much. I feel like I've gorged on rugby, and I'm not sure I can take any more, but I loved it. Loved it. Firstly, just what a game in general. And also, that stadium. I was at that stadium during the Rugby World Cup. I watched France play there. I watched a few games there. Watched the All Blacks there. Wales, Australia, I watched that game there. The noise, that stadium, some of these French stadiums, the noise they can generate is insane. And it sounded like a proper atmosphere there. La Marseillaise, I'm so jealous of that anthem. And I feel like I got cheated because when I was there at the Rugby World Cup, I heard it with the choir of kids, which wasn't as good as when they go a cappella in the stadiums. So good. And then we had that strange start to the game with Angus Gardner not blowing his whistle and then asking for the countdown. Anyway, got underway and it was very quickly Le Crunch, wasn't it? Everything, all the history behind this game came through in the physicality of those opening exchanges. And I think ultimately when you look at where the game was won and lost, I think part of it you can put down to just the giant size of France's forwards, who just managed to, I mean, the physical barrage they put on a team. I mean, there's going to be some sore bodies in that England camp, absolutely. And it was wild, that match early on, wasn't it? There were massive shots going in on both sides. It was really loose. There was England's blitz defence. There was France just playing crazy offloads. 7 minutes in, or Manny Meafu, my goodness me, what a specimen. And they've got a few of them in France, haven't they? But early on, Marcus Smith came on at fullback because 7 minutes in, George Furbank went off. I mean, the one thing I thought about that as it happened is they could have gone Daly at fullback and put Ollie Lawrence on the wing and brought Manu Tuilagi on. The fact they brought Marcus Smith on at fullback signalled England's intent to play and to have a crack. And we definitely saw that later on in the game. I'll come to that. England took the lead with a pen. They absorbed the early pressure from France and then sort of sucker punched them with a scrum penalty, which George Ford kicked over. Booing from the crowd. Do you know? I quite like booing. When I'm in England, I like the crowds to be silent because that's the tradition here. But I actually don't mind a bit of booing from a French crowd. I actually think pure silence would be scarier. French TV directors and completely irrelevant slow motion replays. Is there a more iconic duo? And at this point, so got to think England had a fly half playing at fullback. France had a fullback playing at fly half. I wonder if what would have happened and who would have come off better if they'd swapped Ramos and Smith around. But Smith died a little bit in contact. Marchand turned him over, and that's what got Ramos 3 apiece. And then immediately there was a stolen line out from Francois Crowe, and what a try. Absolutely unreal try from Le Garrec. And it was Leo Barret, absolutely awesome dummy offload. Marcus Smith turned inside out. So at this point, I was thinking Marcus Smith is having a shocker since he's been on. Given away a penalty and then just completely turned inside out by Barret, his opposite number. And you can put that try from France, which Antoine Dupont was there and looked very happy to be watching. You can put that try in the Louvre. What a try that was. Then England finally got an attack in France's 22, spilled it loose, and France just went. Penaud was just doing ridiculous Penaud things. Ill discipline was costing England, and it was 16-3. And it looked like that's how the half was going to end until Henry Slade put through Ollie Lawrence. Looked far too simple. Poor defence, and that's one area that that 10-12 axis, Ramos and Deportier did not cover themselves in glory defensively. Shaun Edwards, if he had any hair left, he'd have been pulling it out. So it was 16-10 at the half, and you thought, for all the pressure France had put on, actually that's a result for England, and they've got a bit of momentum, and that was momentum that they took into the second half. Now, I'm just going to say it now. I covered this in the videos in the last couple of weeks, and again in the video previewing the match a couple of days back. Anyone who criticises George Ford and says he shouldn't be in the team, and there were quite a lot of comments. There were quite a lot of comments saying Ford needs to be put out to pasture. What? That guy is absolute class. The way he plays flat to the line and just makes... He was the guy that engineered so many of those line breaks, as we saw for the next try. George Ford with a really lovely flat pass. Henry Slade putting Freeman through on a break, and then George Ford again pulling the strings, and it was a try for Marcus Smith immediately after half time. So either side of half time, sucker punches from England, brilliant attack, and England were in 16-24 up. They were, and it was that lovely move, wasn't it? Straight off the top of the line out, 2 passes, Ellis Genge, and then Ben Earl. Ben Earl playing like a centre. Maybe Stuart Barnes was right. Ben Earl, the centre, making a line break, and then Marcus Smith finishing it off really, really well. And Deportier and Ramos again, just looking like a turnstile in defence. And I really liked it, seeing Richard Wigglesworth and Steve Borthwick showing some emotion. And it looked like, well, here we go. We've seen the best of France. Now England are on top, and France are about to implode. To France's credit, maybe a France team of a couple of weeks ago might have, but this French team did not. And Le Garec was at the heart of a lot of this again. They went wide. Le Garec made a break, Olivon, and then Leo Barret, and suddenly it was 23-24, a 1-point game. England shot themselves in the foot then, throwing a line out too long. Ramos reacted, kicked long. Oh, that was Smith scoring his try. And Penaud played in Gaël Fickou for a try. And my goodness me, the noise in that stadium was insane when that happened. 30 points to 24. And now it looked like England had blown it. And England were, when they were under pressure, and it was just the intensity and the physicality of France at breakdowns, and they were completely ruining England at maul time, and line out there were some errors, as in the case for the build-up to this try. But England were making handling errors again. They were giving away penalties again. France were on top. But then, my goodness me, out of nothing it seemed, England suddenly had a bit of territory in an attack. And again, George Ford with an unreal handling to tip the ball on, beat the French defence, and put in Tommy Freeman for what looked like... Well, this put them within 1 point. And again, bearing in mind the amount of stick George Ford got last week for his goal kicking, he missed a few kicks. Fly halves do from time to time, or goal kickers do from time to time. Thomas Ramos missed one today that he normally would have kicked. Marcus Smith has had off days. Owen Farrell's had off days. Everyone has. But when it really mattered, a point down with 5 minutes left on the clock, George Ford nails a touchline conversion and looked like he was going to be the hero. 31 points to 30 away in Lyon. With the journey they've been on, this would have been an incredible way to have finished the Six Nations for England. But a penalty was given away. Did you see a replay of the penalty that supposedly Ben Earl gave away? Was the penalty for? I can't even remember what the penalty was for. Was it no hands tackle? I can't actually remember. All I know is the French TV director did not show a replay of it. I'm not saying it wasn't a penalty. It's absolutely fine, but a conspicuous lack of a replay. What the heck? Do you know what? Thomas Ramos, it was not a gimme of a kick, and he nailed it from halfway, and France got themselves the win. And the scoreboard always tells you who deserved to win, and France deserved to win that one. They took their chances when it really matters. They had Jurassic Park, and that told in the end, that the physical pressure they put on England was just too much. And England's line-out Maul D struggled. Penalty count, handling errors were against them. But like I say, if that had been England's performance a week ago, I'd have been absolutely delighted. Just as an England fan, I thought it was such an entertaining game. And I can't help but be pleased for France, because they're under massive pressure as well. You feel like the consequences of France losing at home, bearing in mind they lost to Ireland at home as well to start the tournament, would have been, and they drew with Italy, didn't they? So would have been very, very significant had France come away not having won in France. They've managed to now. And Fabien Galtier is breathing a sigh of relief. There's still some issues that France need to solve, but again, then of course they've got some big players to come back, so they'll feel happy. And I think England, while they will feel disappointed to have lost, you know what? Use me as a barometer. I'm happy, because some of the rugby England played was like nothing I've seen in a while, and I feel very happy that guys like Tommy Freeman are not only on the pitch but getting their hands on the ball. That George Ford taking the ball to the line, Alex Mitchell speeding things up, Ben Earl, an absolute machine of a player. Shame he gave away the final penalty that ultimately lost the game. He shouldn't be too disappointed with that, because without Ben Earl, England would not have won last weekend, would not have got close to winning this weekend. He's been an absolute machine. The Six Nations is the best annual rugby tournament there is, maybe the best sporting tournament there is, and the bonkers match we just saw in Lyon is a demonstration of exactly why. Those are my initial thoughts. Immediately following the final whistle, I'm going to go and have a look at the post-match interviews and stuff. Manu Tuilagi playing his possibly last game for England as well. Maybe Danny Care as well. We'll see about that. But they've been great servants. There's been a few goodbyes or potential goodbyes being said today, so I'll just chuck those ones into the mix as well. Tell me what you think down below. If you appreciate the rugby content, and there's loads more coming, I'm Tim, this is Egg Chasers. Hit subscribe on the channel, give the video a thumbs up, leave your comments down below. See you on the next one.